Welcome y'all to another episode of the Presidential Executive. This your homie over here, the Exec JB. It's my homie brother, and over here, Rag, and of course Crown Vic in the building. And we have a special guest. I'm gonna let Rag go ahead and introduce our special.
Okay, so this is a very talented young lady who I've known for over a decade, performed with, done a lot of shows with, a lot of gigs, very talented songwriter, singer, motivational speaker, counselor, mother, activist.
That's a lot.
Yeah, she wears a lot of hats, but she wears them well. The one and only Memphis's own Kween Jasira.
Yeah. What is going on? It's all good. So usually before, I didn't want to talk kind of pre-camera because I wanted everything to kind of be live
Organic,
and be like, yeah. You know what I mean? So
that.
I didn't want to be, I wasn't rude, you know what I mean? I just wanted to, just let everything catch the camera and stuff. So, so you've performed with this guy over here, huh?
Yes, it was an experience.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how was that? 'Cause she caught you with Stringer, right? Not Alpha Lex.
Right, no, Stringer.
Right.
Okay.
Stringer
Yeah,
MC.
that's a totally different spectrum. So how was the performing with Stringer? Let's tell me that real quick. I'm curious.
It was always an experience. You know what I mean?
He take his shirt off?
Amongst other things. I mean, he just, you never knew what you were gonna get. Like hat be flying off, clothing articles removed. I think one time did you do the snake across the floor one time?
Bruh. No, I did. You know how like when they do the Chippendale dance and they slide across the floor.
Oh, I knew it was some across the floor.
Your hands were on the floor.
Yeah, no, you know how like your knees slide, but you be like.
I mean, he was getting it. He was jumping on top of monitors. I mean, he leaves it all on the floor. Every time.
Vic, you need to come to his show.
On the stage.
We need to go. You got to go to his show.
Right. He needs to teach some classes in showmanship because
we got to go to his show.
And then he just look at the face. The face.
Shout out to K Rio, man. K Rio used to roast me all the time about my stage presence. Oh, you think you cool, huh? You just gonna stand there in one spot. You think you special, so it's like I had to be live.
I ain't gonna lie. The first thing that came to mind when you said his hands up. The Fresh Prince episode when Carlton going over the floor and the thing that. Just like that.
Yeah, but you know how like if you watch like the Kappa shows or whatever, when they dance and they do the jump where they on the ground like that, but I just slid across the floor, man.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it is lovely to meet you.
It's good to meet you too.
You know what I mean? I'm sure we've crossed paths at some point.
You look familiar.
You said you knew Cashmere.
Yes.
And I know what he do in all these shows. You probably be a lot of his shows, I guess.
Yeah, and we all used to perform together too on the same show. But yes,
because she knows Sir as well.
Yes, Sir.
She knows Sir and his wife. I mean,
that whole group there, just some dope poets. Glad that I'm a part.
Okay.
Glad I get to witness all that greatness.
I'll put all her information and stuff below. But go ahead and like this video right now, y'all. Go ahead and share, subscribe to the ThePrezEx TV on YouTube. We're actually on Facebook, Instagram,
Twitter.
Y'all everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. Run it up. I don't know where I want to begin. Because I've heard a lot about you.
You're making me nervous.
Huh?
You're making me nervous.
She did the Dr.
I don't
Evil
know where
hand.
I want to start.
Where I want to start. But just you as a person. I'm assuming. I think it's rude for a guy to ask a woman her age. I heard that. Is that how you feel as well?
No, I don't.
Great.
I don't think age. Like, does age really matter? You know what I mean? Like, to me, it doesn't. In terms like it doesn't symbolize anything except for how many times you've traveled around the sun, but it's not indicative of maturity or accomplishments or anything like that. So, So yeah, is that what you want to know? My age?
Yes, ma'am. How old are you?
I am 44.
44. Okay.
Yes.
So you're in our age range.
How old are y'all?
I'm 40.
41.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
look, I don't know why I thought you was younger than me.
I don't know either.
Wow.
Probably because I wasn't maybe I don't know. I was just chilling. I guess I don't know.
I mean, just when we would be rehearsing and stuff, everybody would always look to me for good advice and wisdom. So
the
guy was crawling on the floor.
okay,
that's what surprised me. The guy at practice, but the guy at practice was not the same person who performed.
The guy in rehearsal, it was all business in rehearsal.
It's not the same person.
But when I hit the stage, that's what I'm saying. You gotta, when the lights on, that's Deion Sanders, that's Ocho Cinco. Yes. When the lights on, as Coach A used to say for Hamilton,
prime time.
When the lights on and the popcorn popping, you gonna see who want to play.
Yeah, he was the show closer every time.
Yeah, they would let me close it out.
Wow. Well, I can't say I'm surprised. I already know. I just wanted to hear from some. It's different when I say something, but then you hear from somebody else, and everybody have the same experience and blase.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of start at the beginning a little bit with you. So did you grow up in like a 2-parent household?
I did.
You
did?
Yes,
I did. I have my mom and dad were married almost 60 years until he transitioned back in October of 2019. So yeah, those. Well, he was my heart. My mom's still my heart. But yeah, I did grow up in a 2-parent household.
From Memphis?
Nope, I'm from Aberdeen, Mississippi. You heard of Aberdeen before?
How you spell that?
Aberdeen, Deantown for life.
Deantown. Okay.
You haven't heard of Aberdeen before?
I haven't.
Okay, so you heard of Tupelo, right?
Yes.
Heard of Columbus, Mississippi?
Yes.
Aberdeen sits in the middle. If you're going from one of those cities to the other, you have to drive through Aberdeen.
So that's probably what, 3-4 hours from here?
No, northeast Mississippi. It's like 30 minutes from Tupelo. So like an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how you drive.
Okay. And I've heard that you travel, you perform, you do also you sing.
Yes, I sing. That's primarily what I do: sing, songwriting. I MC a little bit. I can't hang with Stringer here, or Shay. I'm just whatever.
He has multiple names.
So
he's Rag on here, but whatever works.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I'm not on his level, but and I do a little acting too. So yeah, I do a little bit of it all in addition to being a mom and doing like my community activist stuff, as far as being an advocate for children. So I do a little bit of that, but primarily yes. For singing.
When did you come to Memphis? Did you go to high school here or
no? So I went to high school in Aberdeen. That's where I graduated from. Okay. Then I went into Mississippi University for Women in Columbus, Mississippi. Got my undergrad there because by day I work in IT. And then from there, I went to Mississippi State University, went to grad school, and then I was recruited by International Paper here in Memphis. I was recruited out of grad school. So I moved here in 2006.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm a Memphian.
But when you were in the group, so how did you meet? Because y'all had a group.
Who is y'all? Which I've been in so many.
And
she's like, which one?
Right. Oh. Yes, Danica. I was in a group with her and another young lady named Paige.
Right, Paige. Yeah, because I taught Paige's son.
Aaron?
And I didn't know that Paige graduated high school with my cousins, at Hamilton.
Small world.
So it was a crazy thing. But then when I saw an old flyer of y'all, and I was like, wait a second, I know all three of them, but I never had seen y'all together.
We were in a group called Dejanique, right? Mm-hmm. So right now, I'm just primarily a reggae artist. But Dejanique, DE for Danica, the Ja for Jasira, and then Neek for Paige Dominique. And so we were a girls group that paid homage to other girl groups from other eras. So we would perform, when it was time to perform with the 60s. So our show would be an ode to the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Oh. And so for each set, we wore what the clothing looked like back then and, clothing, the makeup, the hair. And then we did those covers of, some girl groups back in the day. So that was a good time. We worked together for about a year, maybe 2. And then, I got pregnant, had my son. And by the time I got back on the scene, because I was off the scene for about a year, playing mommy again. And, then by the time I came back, things were different. So... But yeah, those are my girls. Hopefully we can do a reunion or something. Because that was a dope concept. A lot of people did that. Yeah.
That's dope. So how young were you when you got pregnant?
Which time?
Your first one, I guess I assume.
My very first one, I was 15.
Okay.
Yes, I was 15, then I was 17, and then I was 37. So, yes, I have a 28-year-old, a 26-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
So, have you always performed? Was that something like your parents did? Or
No.
this was just unique to you?
Yeah, it was when I moved here. See, I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, so I couldn't do a lot of things growing up. No extracurricular activities,
Birthdays.
no singing, no birthdays, holidays, things of that nature. So, but when I was in high school, I always knew I could sing. I just couldn't do anything with it. And then in high school, I joined like Students Against Driving Drunk, SAD, that organization. And I started writing spoken word pieces that I would write like on posters and tape all around the school. So that's how I first got into anything artistic that was allowed. And then when I moved here to Memphis, the first thing I did was like jump on the spoken word scene. I was going to Nappy by Nature. They were having open mic every Friday. So that's how I got plugged into the spoken word scene. And then also one of the owners of Nappy by Nature, she was a reggae artist, had her own reggae band. And she found out I could sing, and I started singing background for her. So that's how it just kind of evolved. But no, I wasn't doing it before I moved here. Moving here was like one of the best things I could have ever done for myself and my children.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So you getting pregnant that young and stuff, I ask people this sometimes, like, did that kind of, from where you are now, did that kind of groom you to, the person that you are today?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, having a child at 15 when you're still a child is a challenge in and of itself. So it definitely changed me. But just from early on, I was good at that. I'm good at being a mom. So there were things, of course, I had to sacrifice. Back in my hometown, there was this school of math and science that you could, where I guess when you were in high school, I can't remember if it was all 4 years or just maybe your 11th and 12th grade year, where it was actually on the campus of Mississippi University for Women, where I ended up getting my undergrad. And I had been accepted there, but I gave it up so I could be home and be a mom, because I didn't want to leave my daughter with my parents. That wasn't their responsibility to raise her. So yes, being a mom, I mean, if I could go back and do it all again, I would do it all again. You know what I mean? I wouldn't. I of course, knowing what I know now, it's always better to wait, because I'm a completely different mom and person now than I was at 15 or 17. When I had my son at 37, I'm a completely different mom. Even my daughters realize that. They're like, yeah, this is, because we all growing up together. I'm your mom, but it's like we're sisters at the same time. Yeah. And we even get that now when we're out and about. People like, y'all look like sisters, because we are so close in age. But yes, no, it definitely changed me and made me more mature. I had to grow up quickly. I'm in high school, get out of high school, pick up my daughter, take her to my mom, and then I'm going to McDonald's and working till closing and getting off work, getting home a few more hours, going back to school. So it definitely gave me drive. It definitely made me want better, because I had someone, and then to someone shortly afterward, that were looking up to me, that were depending on me. So I wanted better for them, and that was my drive when I was younger. So I'm not sure what life would have been like without them. I don't want to know what life would have been like without them at a young age. I don't know what I would have been, but it was all divine, because it definitely was needed for me to be who I am now. So yeah, I don't regret it one bit.
I want to know, like, what was, I can only imagine, because I remember when, my daughter was born, and I remember I was 25, I think. So, like, and I remember having that conversation, but, like, growing up in the household that I grew up in, like, my dad is a minister, you know what I'm saying? And my dad's never been like a pastor, but everybody knew him as, Elder Ragland, and my mom was like the minister's wife. And so I remember that conversation at 25, having with my parents, and just our expectation of you and for you. And so, like, being in a similar situation, I was older, but, like, my folks wasn't babysitting, they wasn't watching my daughter. Like, so I had to find, somebody to watch her. I had, all of that. So like, what was your parents' reaction? And how did they help you? Or if you had to do it all by yourself, like, what was that like?
I absolutely did not have to do it by myself. My
Right.
dad was an elder in the congregation, so that's like the equivalent of a reverend.
Right.
And so, of course, I mean, no one wants their 15-year-old daughter to be pregnant. So, of course, that was a hard pill for them to swallow. Some disappointment associated with that. It caused some issues in my relationship with them. But my parents, they separated that disappointment that they had in me, or that rift that it caused in our relationship at the time. They separated that from the child. It had nothing to do with her. So my family has always been close knit. That's just what I grew up in, like a very close knit family, where growing up, my mom actually adopted my first cousin, so it was like she was my sister growing up. So just always come from that type of love and background. So no, I didn't have to do anything alone. My mom and dad supported me absolutely every single day. When I was in high school, and like I mentioned, getting out of school, going to pick up my daughter from daycare and leaving her with my mom at night while I worked at McDonald's, or so no, they were very supportive. I left home for a bit, of course, but then we ended up living next to each other, so my daughters would just run next door to their grandparents and run back to me. So yes, the most supportive parents I could have ever had, despite me disappointing them, with some of my choices. But yes, they were amazing. My mom she's still with us, and she is amazing. Even now, my oldest is 28. They talk on the phone. They talk more than me and my mom. I'm so jealous. Like I call my mom. I was like, you still have a daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're like best friends, and my daughter's actually going to be going there next week, and my mom has all this stuff planned of what they're going to do, But when I come this weekend, she wants me to cook. Like, what? So yes, my parents, were amazing.
That's good that you say that, because most of the time, where I think when given that situation, having a baby so young, like I think most people think of like the stuff you see on Dateline, like they just like don't have any help or don't have, you know what I mean? But like in your situation, it's good to, everybody need that network. I have 4. Well, you don't know that I have 4. So help is needed. You know what I'm saying? A network or or somebody,
a village,
literally.
It takes a village.
So I get it. You can't just kind of depend on, try not to depend just on one person. You need multiple people to kind of spread it out to everybody carried away, because that weight can get kind of full on one person if kind of need it on that. So
yeah, I even had the support of the paternal grandparents too. So it definitely was a village, and my older sister, who ended up moving back home. It was just all support all the time. So I have heard of situations like the one you mentioned, or even like what you say you went through.
Right.
We're not having support. It definitely makes it harder. And
well, now it's completely different. But like initially, like that first 2-3 years, and like my dad has always been like, man, I love y'all. I'm gonna do anything for y'all. But if I got to choose between y'all and my wife, y'all gonna lose every time. And that was just what it was. And so my mom was like disappointed. I ain't rocking with it. So like, fortunately, like, my godmom, rest in peace. She would watch her. My god sister would watch her. If y'all remember the episode we shot with Roberta last season, Roberta would watch her. Eric and Charmaine, her godparents, they would watch her. So like when I would go to work, like those 4 or 5 days she was with me, like when I go to work at FedEx at night, I had somebody, to watch her.
Right.
I pick her up in the morning. I try to sleep at least 2 or 3 hours while she was sleeping, and then, I'm up, for 4 hours till I got to go to school. Then, and it was just a constant back and forth, ripping and running. But, it got to a point where like where you are, where it was like now, like, dang, y'all didn't, you see her room now at my folks' house, you'd be like how you said this room was really nice, walking to her room, you'd be like, so, I mean, that support, and then as you said, like, I know, like, dude, you got 4.
And look, they all 7 and under. I got.
I was just about to ask how old they are.
My twins are 3. I got
Twins.
a 5-year-old,
Okay.
and my oldest is 7.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, so
And then he be doing stuff he ain't supposed to do, like coaching teams and stuff like that. You supposed to sit on the sidelines.
I know.
With your dad by, with the wife beater on. You know what I'm saying? And hollering from the stands.
My youngest daughter played D1 basketball, so I'm at the scorers table.
Right.
I wasn't an assistant coach, but if I wasn't at the scorers table, then I'm on the bench, keeping score and keeping up with fouls and timeouts and things of that nature. I was the like the team administrator, so because she played AAU basketball, so we having to order shoes and uniforms and get registered for tournaments and find hotels. Oh, I was involved. I got kicked out of several games. I'm a very passionate mother.
That's
very
good.
passionate mother.
You're supposed to.
Right.
You're supposed
One time,
to.
my daughter took a charge. And she took it hard. She slid all the way and like slammed into the big cushion they have behind the goal. My mom ran out onto the court. I'm like, you can't do that. She's okay.
Yeah, it's a part of the game.
But yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. And so too, you need to check out a few other episodes. We always we have a lot of man talking here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so one of the things that, people have asked or said, like, good to get a woman's point of view, a woman's opinion on certain things.
And hold on, and as you say that, now, how many women have you reached out to be on the show? You know what I mean? Because I know I have.
Yeah, at least 3.
With the exception of Roberta, who
Roberta.
is like family, so that almost don't count because she would have did it regardless.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like Jasira is the first part. Like, and when I sent her, we've actually been trying to coordinate this for like several weeks.
Yeah.
But like she immediately was like, "Hey, let me know. Like, just let me know so I can, when I have my son, I have to do that." But
yeah, it's different. Like this is just me. Some of the women that I've reached out to, they have a lot to say. You know what I'm saying? Like in the DM or in person or something like that. But then when you tell them to come on camera, you know what I'm saying? Something changes. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't get it. My sister Zarina told me, she was like, well, this is kind of what y'all be doing. Like it's easier for y'all to do it. And so it's like, maybe they don't want to, so I don't know.
Not necessarily. Y'all don't know. JB is antisocial.
Bruh.
JB doesn't do anything. JB does stuff. He does stuff with his wife. He'll be at the games. Like I had to beg him. Like when I celebrated my birthday, I had to let him know 2 weeks in advance.
Now. Don't say
and Crown did not show up at all.
You didn't do him like that, did you?
You didn't though. Exactly. You see what I'm saying? Right. He's like, look. He was like, I gotta be shooting. I was like, I ain't even told you what day it is. He was like, what day is it? I told him the day. Lies and propaganda.
He said he didn't get the text.
Lies and propaganda.
He didn't get the text. Vic.
So don't worry. I don't delete nothing. It's in there.
You got receipts.
I got receipts now. I ain't even get a response back. So but so JB is antisocial. So. You know what I'm saying? Y'all say he does this on camera, and this is what y'all don't understand. This is what I appreciate about JB and Crown. The reason why LeBron and Maverick work is because Maverick know he ain't got a jump shot. Yeah. Maverick know he can't dunk. Maverick know ain't nobody coming to the arenas to see him. Maverick does what he does because LeBron don't do that. LeBron know he ain't good with numbers. He ain't good with the behind the door meet, but because Maverick appreciate LeBron appreciate Maverick. Maverick sitting courtside with Adele. Maverick sitting next to Jay-Z and Beyonce because Maverick understands I can do what LeBron can't do, and if I do that, we gonna be successful. LeBron know I take care of my body, be about this bit, be the face, and do all of that. That's why they work. You look at Ty, Jay-Z homeboy. Ty done came up. Because he know I'm the dude that they passed the gun to and had it. Yeah. I drive the car. I do the stuff. What I appreciate is that JB sees the angles that I don't see. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He thinks about the stuff that I don't think about.
Right.
Because as you said, I'm the one when the lights come on, hand me the mic. I ain't scared. I ain't never been scared.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want the smoke. You see what I'm saying? I'm that guy.
Yeah.
But so, and I understand like, dude, I be having 15-hour days, but when these lights come on, I understand that that's what I do.
Right.
He gonna stay focused with the time and everything, like, cause you know what I'm saying? But
Go over.
you see what I'm saying? But I'm gonna bring that, and that's what makes it work. That's why we have a beautiful dynamic, because you have that guy. It's just like watching a comedy movie or something. You got the straight man, and then you got the person that's bringing the comedic energy.
For sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so, man, when y'all be saying JB, we do this, like, no, JB don't really do that. You know what I'm saying? And even me, like, I'm not just doing it all the time. Like, I'll do it when I'm called upon, but like, I'm not the dude at work making TikTok videos at work, because I be trying to get the hell up out of there.
I feel you.
You see what I'm saying? So like, it's a beautiful thing that you not only agreed to it, but you was like, hey, let me know.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, we appreciate that.
And I'll just say this: I had a past life, so I've did a lot. You know what I'm saying? So
it's sat down
this
time.
Is my
time?
season. This is my season of
Like the old folks say, it's
I wish you would open up more
time.
and talk about some of the things.
I
that
went
he
to
would
TSU.
do.
You know what I'm saying? I went to TSU, Tennessee State University.
Okay.
The real
Okay.
TSU. I know you want to think about Texas Southern, were you?
Well, that's where my
Oh,
daughter
see,
played. That's where my daughter played.
When we
She
say
did.
TSU, we mean Tennessee State right here.
Okay.
It's Tennessee State at all times.
Crown don't like to be on the mic, and he won't talk about what he's done. JB will kind of skim over his stuff.
You know,
and so basically, it's always like the ratchet life of Roche Ragland.
He's the only single guy.
It ain't that. When I get married, dude, it's like,
you hearing right now, Vic?
No.
You hearing right now?
Yes.
You hearing right now?
Okay, so but this is what I'm saying. Like,
okay.
So I'm pretty sure. I don't
that.
know the level of security you have, with your guy, but like, I tell any woman, like, what you've done in your past, like, what they got to do with me.
That's
at the end of the day, so like, I don't care about your body count. I don't care about old videos you got out. What they got to do with me? Because at the end of the day, I'm the one. Like, I don't care how many times you scored a touchdown. If at the end of the game I won,
yeah.
When you get through, they don't remember who came in second place.
Right. I agree with that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I don't care. I am so secure in myself.
I don't have a problem.
I don't care about
that,
but I need for my woman to be so secure, because I'm not with a woman for just sex.
Yeah.
Sex is a part of it. But if I'm with you, if I'm partnering with you, it's because I see stuff beyond sex.
Exactly.
I got people that I curved that was our relationship.
Okay.
So I ain't got no problem. Like, if I want some right now, I can make a phone call. I can shoot the text message.
No problem.
If that was what I was doing.
Yeah.
You performed with me.
Hey,
you saw the way the ladies were screaming when I slid across the stage.
I mean,
but
I synced
stop that, Crown. Don't judge
I
me.
synced it with a T.
But I'm just saying, like, so do you find it? How does your guy deal with?
We're gonna rewind this back too when he get married.
I'm gonna keep that same energy.
Play it at the reception.
Yeah, we're gonna line it up. You know
how
what I
does
mean?
your guy feel about? Because you get a lot of attention.
Yes.
Because like a lot of guys, and I know because we perform together. Like, so a lot of guys, from whether it was somebody guest hosting or other performers, like, you get a lot of attention.
They be
you're
coming.
nice,
They
you're
be
an
shooting.
attractive
They be
young
shooting a
lady.
shot. They be shooting a shot.
Mm-hmm.
How does he deal with that?
Yeah.
Snap. Okay.
He doesn't. Because it's a non-factor. It's just like what you were describing, very secure in himself. If he comes to a show, he comes to a show. He's not the type of, I got to be at every show and stand like he's, top flight security of the world, Craig, or something like that, So I think that's been key, because actually when I first met you, I was married, but I was married to a very, very, very insecure person, and that made life miserable, and I always used to say,
I don't recall seeing him.
I don't know if you did or not, but yeah, because we met, didn't have my son, right?
Right.
Yeah, so yeah. So of course my son was with my ex-husband, but yeah. So this relationship that I'm in now is night and day. Actually, someone that's securing themselves, they got their own thing going. You know what I mean? When somebody has their own interests and their own things that they're doing, and just more and understands me and trusts me, like that. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? Because if you worry about everybody else, then you're gonna always be worried. But as long as you have trust and confidence in the person that you're with, then that's the only thing that you have to worry about. So yes, I think with, like you said, it's a lot that that comes with it. What's the question?
Got a question.
What's the question?
Now, when you say you was in I think, Mary, you said insecure, right?
Yes.
So, what do you mean by insecure? Like, what are some things that you say was like, what's insecurity?
Oh, like, you know how we would be practicing and pretty much I would be the only female there.
That's true.
That was a problem.
That's
You
true.
know, and it's
Okay,
like,
I got you.
okay, well, it's not just me and one other guy on an instrument. Like, it's a group of us, you know.
Right.
So then it's a matter of, well, I'm sure that between songs y'all having conversations. So what y'all talking about? You know, like I work in the corporate world, so going to lunch with people and building those professional relationships, and sometimes, you know, hashing things out over lunch, that's a part of their culture. That's all, you know, was always a problem if the lunch included someone of the opposite sex. You know, like I think one time I took a picture. One time I took a picture and there was a guy in the background of the picture, and I made the picture my cover photo on Facebook, and that was a problem because there's this dude in the background of my picture, so I had to. That must have been somebody I was there at the event with. You know what I mean?
You had a whole
So-
Where's Waldo in the background. He
Yeah,
mad about
it
that.
was a lot of, you know, just.
Sound like Ike Turner.
No, it didn't. It definitely didn't get there, but it was like a controlling. It wasn't anything, you know, abusive, but definitely like controlling, and just always worried about, you know, someone else. Like one time, I had a show at downtown. It's not the Cannon Center. What is it when you first get off on the second, third street exit? What is that place?
Oh,
It's on the left. Like when
yeah,
you make,
yeah,
you
I know
know,
what you're talking about.
I mean, it's
I
on
know
the
what you're
right.
talking
Like when
about.
you make that left, it's on the right. It's right
No,
by
so
the
like when you're
right
on
by the
when you're on the
pyramid.
expressway, you
But
get off where it's like the second street exit,
yes,
and when you're coming around like the curve, it's like over there
yeah,
to the right.
yeah. It's not the Cannon Center, right?
I
But is it the Cannon Center?
If it's
That's
a
the
building,
Cannon
I
Center.
think
It's the
it is.
Cannon Center.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
Cannon
so
Center,
one
yeah,
time
yeah.
we had a show. I had a show at the Cannon Center, and Amp was a part of the show, and he was there, and Amp walked up to talk to me about something about the set list. And it was, oh, he didn't speak to me, so y'all must be messing around.
Man, you know what? And if y'all know Amp, I will say this, and this is no disrespect to Amp. Amp is the most non-threatening guy on the planet.
Cool
like,
as a fan.
Amp is a genuine, like, think about Amp like you would Keenan. You know what I'm saying? Like, you talk about somebody that don't have no motives,
no ulterior
genuine,
motives, no
solid,
animosity.
You know, he ain't trying to holler at your girl.
Yeah.
Like, he is like
none of that. Yeah.
I mean, it was so much so to the point, like, it would be women that liked Amp, and he was so oblivious because he was so such a salt of the earth good guy.
Yeah.
So to be upset at Amp, and if you talk to Amp for 5 minutes, you know, like, okay, he ain't trying to holler at me.
No, he's not. He's not it. So that's what I mean, like that type of that type of insecurity. And I would be open to dealing with that if I had given a reason for that insecurity. You know, like if I had cheated or something like that. Because you know, hey, if you cheat and the person chooses to forgive you, you got to rebuild trust.
Yeah.
You got to go through whatever that healing for them looks like. You got to go through it with them. You know, but not. It was crazy. It was hectic. So this right now, what I'm in is different. You know, it's just like it's the exact opposite of that. To the point where I'm like, are you sure? No, but I've been in a relationship for a few years now.
Okay. So this is like more like a breath of fresh air.
It is,
so to speak. Huh?
Yeah, it's like, you know, and like when you give things room to grow, they flourish, right? And so that's what I'm able to do more and be more without any sort of inhibitions or, you know, knowing somebody standing on the sidelines, you know, giving you the side eye, watching who you talking to, you know, so it's much more freeing. And you know, I like where I'm at.
Now, I thought about this before, like when somebody, because you're in that type of relationship now, but usually, you know, I would say some people they take for granted maybe their situation or something that they're in, you know what I'm saying, because they haven't experienced maybe what you did as far as being in that insecurity. And so now off the bat, you looking at what you're in now. This is such a blessing because this is not normal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is not something everybody has.
Right.
And so you're not looking at it as, like, hey, this is all I know. You know what I mean? So it's like when I see, other people when they're going through, or to me, it maybe takes somebody, unfortunately, to get a divorce or to have bad relationships or something like that in order to, appreciate, you know what I'm saying, the good when you actually come upon it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunate to a degree. Like I think what Rad was talking about before, like I was the only kid in my family. I'm the youngest in my family. I'm the only kid that didn't
always got his way.
Well, Zarina did.
No, I'm just playing. Yeah, she's the only girl.
Yeah, Zarina, she's the only girl. She did. So I wish, you know what I mean? But I was the only one that didn't have a baby out of wedlock. Everybody else did.
Zarina? I thought she was married. Nope. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So it was, my dad was a minister too. He was a preacher, a reverend. And so, growing up in that type of household, my dad was pretty cool. It wasn't like any pressure, but I learned a lot from my brothers. You know what I mean? I saw the baby mama drama. I saw.
And how many, for everybody, how many years apart are you from your brothers?
My oldest brother, 15 years. My next oldest brother is 8 years.
So yeah, he got a front row seat. Basically.
Yeah, so I grew up seeing what I didn't want. You know what I mean?
You sound like my daughter, actually, my oldest daughter, because she's 28, like I mentioned, and no children. And, so because she saw my struggles, you know what I mean? Like we grew up together. And so it's always refreshing to hear when someone kind of, breaks the generational curse or doesn't repeat their parents' mistakes. Because I don't get offended when she says that. I'm glad you can look and learn from me and not have been, the 15-year-old yourself getting pregnant in high school or even now. Like she's very intentional about who she dates. She's very intentional about when she's going to have children. Because, a lot of people are like, you 28? You don't have no children? When you getting married? Like, she's starting to feel the pressure. But I'm like, no, you take your time. You know what I mean? Because my mom was 40 when she had me. I was 37 when I had your brother. So don't feel like you need to be rushed. Just make sure that you do it right, Yeah. And so what you're saying just made me think of her because she's very intentional like that.
Learning from experiences, like I think.
Or from observation.
Yeah, or from other people. Just like, to me, that's one thing I don't get. I got my nephews in town. My nephew just moved back in town from Florida, or actually from Georgia. And certain things, I try to tell them the game and tell them about some of these times, my past,
Right, that we don't get on here.
Yeah.
Right.
Y'all get a glimpse. You feel me?
Well, now you got to give me a smidge because it keeps coming up. Just a bit.
Man, his stuff he talk about like the last house on the left. Like you see it in the distance, but you don't go back there.
Well, they call him the latest man back at TSU. That was
latest man.
Yeah, that was, you know what I'm saying? I
You ever seen Why Did I Get Married?
Yes.
I call him Mike from Why Did I Get Married? Like that was, you see her face when she did it? No. Vic, you got to get that. You got to get that. Her facial expression that she made when I said that.
At TSU at that time when I was coming up, the best man was like the thing at the time, right?
Right.
And so I kind of looked like Tate Diggs. I had like the hoop ear. I had the hoop earring. You know what I mean? So it was, and the ratio up there at the time, TSU was 27-1, women to men.
Dang.
So, yeah. So, everybody had, fun. Even he came up a time.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They thought I went to TSU.
Yeah, he came up a time.
Like so y'all been friends this long?
Yeah.
Wow.
20 plus years. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But like when I would go visit, people be like, man, what you been doing? We ain't see you. Like, and I'd be like, oh man, you know me, I'm grinding. And they thought when I said I'm grinding, they was like, oh. They thought I was selling like, no, I mean I'm working. I work. I have a job. Like, but they was like, oh, he out here hustling. No, I was working, but yeah.
He
was that dude at TSU.
Everybody have a,
he was the man.
And a I wouldn't say the man, but I had a share.
If you saw some of them,
okay.
I had a share. So it was this dude here.
Man.
It was, coming. I had what you would say come into Jesus moment, so to speak. Well, I guess part of my testimony is basically I grew up under the faith in Christianity. My pops was a minister. My mom was the sweetest lady in the world. You know what I mean? So it was like for years I always piggybacked off them. In the church that we grew up in and went to, it was a holiness church, and so it was just like I thought I was born into it, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then as you go off to college, you experience different things. You know what I'm saying? You kind of move away, and you just like, dang, I don't know if I believe what I grew up believing anymore.
Right.
And so had a little soul searching, which going to jail helped that. You know what I'm saying? Having a situation where that kind of propelled me to be like, dang, what you doing? What you really want to do? So
now, how long were you in jail?
I was in there for maybe 4 days.
Okay.
So y'all heard it here, folks. So he didn't divulge
So he's
until he
opening
went
up.
behind the curtain.
He's opening
I
up.
thought-
Y'all have gone behind the curtain.
I think I've mentioned that before on here. I think. I'm not
He's
sure.
opening up.
But look, 4 days was. I don't know. I'm just glad I wasn't here in Memphis in 201.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Full flow down.
Yeah. I don't want none of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want none of that. But being in that situation, kind of had to force me to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And to really figure out, you know what I'm saying? Hey, because I was going in different directions. You know what I'm saying? I was hanging out with pimps and, just doing certain things. You know what I'm saying? I probably shouldn't have been doing. And so it was like, so I had to rediscover what I believe, not from what my parents thought. You know what I'm saying? I had to do my own research. I had to talk to God myself to be like, look, is it Christianity? Is it, whatever, Muslim, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's like I had to do my own soul searching to be like, okay, no, this is what I stand on. Not because of what, you know what I'm saying, my pastor said or what my daddy always told me. You know what I'm saying? I can repeat those all the time, but it's something that I did myself that I had a conviction with, you know what I'm saying, personally. So, so when I'm, antisocial, I got 4 kids, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm always doing something, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm spoiling them now by being their coach and all their sports things, you know what I mean? Because I say, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this first, and then I just keep on doing it. So I say I'm gonna stop, but who knows?
When Charity was doing gymnastics, I learned early on she could not handle me when she wanted to play soccer. So and a lot of people don't know this. Like I was actually very good playing soccer before we moved back to Memphis. Like soccer was my sport. You know what I'm saying? Just right, just F that microphone, take it out.
Sorry.
But so like soccer was my sport. So like when she said she wanted to play soccer, I'm like, and that's football for all of our people overseas, right? Football.
Mad respect for soccer players,
right?
Like,
but you got to have a lot of energy to play something.
Yeah.
That's why I got the
it's a tough sport.
So
it is.
When I actually really started trying to coach her, like I remember one day she just broke down and started crying, and we was just doing some drills, and I was like, okay, you know what? Let me scale back. So I was just like, I will take you to wherever you got to go. I'll pay the money for whatever it is you're doing, but I'm just gonna observe. If it's something that you really want to do, you know what I'm saying, and you show me you really want to do it, then I will get behind it. But until then, I'll just do that. But like, yeah, man, you be at all the games, you be coaching the other people's kids.
Got a championship game this weekend. You know what I mean? AU tackle football. We in the championship game out there in Brighton High School. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're gonna be out there doing that. So you said your daughter hoops, right? Or she
My
did hoop?
youngest daughter did, yes.
In Division I? Where'd she go?
So she got her high school championship out of Horn Lake, Mississippi.
Okay.
Then she went to Murray State for a year, and then she transferred to University of Toledo, where she got her collegiate championship. And then after she graduated from there, she did her final year, her 5th year at TSU. Texas Southern, Texas Southern University in Houston. She was an amazing basketball player. So Stringer knows, because it be shows where I'm ripping and trying, like literally coming off from a game and jumping on stage. So yeah. But she was a combo guard.
Okay. Now with this, now I gotta look. look you up as far as to see you performing. You know what I mean? Because I'm interested now because
Okay.
you know you seem kind of engaging. You know what I mean? So it's like, so you write? Do you write?
Yes, I do.
You write?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what do you like doing? You like performing, or you like the craft of actually creating and writing?
So I like performing, but what people to kind of find weird is I actually prefer singing background. You know, it's cool to be on the front, you know, and be like the lead artist, but I really like background because I just think background is so beautiful, all of the different parts, and you can, you know, especially if you have a full background with like two other singers, it's just a beautiful thing to me. And probably because when I first started becoming an artist, that's what I started out doing was singing harmony, singing background, learning the harmonies, all the different parts, and just creating that way. For me, though, it the writing is also good. It like they don't compare. You know, like performing. I think performing what I've written is always dope. So, especially when it's received really well, because, you know, depending on the crowd, you know, our Memphis love a good cover. You know, a good
Yeah.
cover too. So,
Yeah.
you know, you definitely got to hit the people with the cover, and then, you know, if you perform your original music and it's received well, something that you've actually written, that's always super dope. My process with writing is different than most people's. Most of the time, people can write, and then try to find a track, or, you know, try to build the sound around it. But I have to hear it. Like, it's more of a have to hear it first, and then whatever is supposed to be there comes from there, if that makes sense. So
So you just like being in the studio vibing, or just
yeah.
being having something in your ear,
Yeah,
and
like
just
get in the
kind of know what's
studio and
going
just
on.
let's just start playing some tracks, and then, you know, see what can go from there. But that's my process.
That's dope, because I mean, I'm not a performer or anything like that, but I've been around enough of these
Man, you
guys.
performed. This man was
You know what I'm
like one of the
saying?
top 5 players in the state of Tennessee.
What,
Tennis
football?
player. He
No,
Oh,
played
no,
okay.
tennis.
I was a tennis
He went
player.
to
I
college
went
on
to
a tennis
college. I went
scholarship.
to college on tennis
He was
scholarship
one of the top 5 players in the state. So he talking about performing, and you know them tennis matches.
on the
It be
stage.
hella people watching tennis. Watching.
I mean, playing sports
So
is like one of the biggest stages there is.
exactly. So
And
he
y'all,
need to
like,
stop with the
between
cap.
soccer and tennis, like, these are some unique sports that I
Yeah.
really like. I tried playing tennis
Yeah.
once, and I have respect for
Oh, I
that,
was the
because it's
worst
like
player in the
you got to
history of high school
hit the
tennis.
ball in a certain place,
Yeah.
and
I was
then
0
I
and
never
11.
understood what you know,
Raleigh
was it
East.
love and all of those how to count it. I'm just
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Actually,
that's pretty cool.
tennis and soccer were kind of. If you played tennis, they tried to get you to play soccer because the footwork. If you played soccer, it would help you with the footwork while you was in
Right.
tennis. And so,
Right. Okay.
but my dad, you know, he got me into that. He spent a lot of time in California, and when Arthur Ashe was kind of at his peak doing his thing, my pop started. He taught himself how to play tennis. And he brought that back to Memphis, and you know,
You
I
still
did-
be playing?
huh?
You still be playing?
Nah, not as much.
He
Okay.
coaches.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
have.
if
I have a
y'all
few
got
cli-
money,
Living
few
if y'all
vicariously.
want to get y'all kids a good tennis trainer,
Yeah,
y'all need to
Did you
holler.
say? Did you say if y'all got money?
Yeah, if y'all, because he ain't doing it for the free. He loves the game,
Yeah,
but
it ain't
You're
going.
not
He got-
busting
he gotta
heads though,
feed his
are you,
kids.
JB? You're not busting heads.
I'm not
are you?
busting heads.
Okay.
I'm not busting heads.
Don't
Now,
bust the people
you know,
heads.
my
now.
my kids obviously don't. Actually, Tobias, that's what he want to do. He said,
Oh, okay.
He said he want to play tennis, and so I need to stop loafing and try to get him, and more so get him out there. But
It's in
you
the
know,
DNA. It's in grandpa, auntie, pops.
Yeah.
Like, what's up?
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So, but what I'm saying, that type of performance, sports performing, I think that's different. I play AAU basketball too, dabbled in football a little bit, but like performing like on stage to me is way different. You gotta have a, because you're literally in front of people. Like for me, when I'm on the court, you know, basketball or tennis or whatever, like you focus on your opponent.
That's
You
true.
know what I'm saying? You focus on your opponent. You focus on the game. They're around you. You know what I'm saying? But once you get that sweat going, it's like I can tune that out because I'm focused in on what's going on. But for y'all, when y'all are on stage and y'all, you know, looking at all these people, literally just like staring at you, like entertain me,
Yeah.
like what you got. You know what I mean? Like that's That's a
so,
different
okay,
vibe.
like you probably can feel this, but like, okay, with you put, you know how many hours you put in, on the tennis court. Yeah. So when you got out there, it was like I did the work.
Right.
All I got to do is execute. So like with me, and you know this part, like I know what it takes. Cause like what you said, when you're writing it, that feeling you get when you complete a song, you'll never have that feeling again performing it.
Right.
Because like you said, it depends on how they receive it. So like your song is like your child. Nobody loves your child like you love your child.
Yeah, I know.
And so the worst feeling in the world is when
that.
you create something and it's like, this is my baby, and y'all can't see, what I was creating.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like when I get up on that stage, and it's just like when we're doing here, what people don't see is like when we have the topics, especially like when you shoot me the topics before, like nobody knows that the whole time I'm driving that mail truck, I'm listening to you send me these topics. I'm listening to stuff. You see what I'm saying? Because that's my, when I get off, the few minutes I have, or like before I go to bed at night, I'm researching. So you're tuning in to watch us. So I got to know what I'm talking about. So when we get on this microphone, I've done the research. They don't see that. All they see is, man, this dude be live. He be pouring his yak and mixing it with cream. But they don't see the research that I lit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. But just like they didn't see the hours that you put in, or the hours you spent rehearsing. So when I get up and perform, they don't see the hours that I spent standing in front of my mirror, holding like a bottle or something, like a microphone, rapping. You see what I'm saying? They only see like, man, this dude turned. You don't see the other part of that.
Question for you performers though, and I get that. Now y'all tell me. So you practice in front of a mirror, or whatever your routine is, but is it different when you're actually, what I tell to you, when you get out there and you look people in their eyes? It's like, is it still just like, just repetition, or is it like a freeze factor, like you know what I mean? Like it's different. You know what I mean? Like I'm asking because I don't know.
Oh yeah, for me it's different. I don't even practice in front of a mirror. Like I don't practice, this is how I'm gonna move. Because I'm not gonna be doing any sort of choreographed dancing or any dance routines or anything like that. I'll practice vocally. I sit and sing the song, so that I can make sure I'm hitting the notes and it's not flat or sharp or whatever. But being in front of a mirror, like you mentioned, I don't do that because it is different, because I don't know what's going to happen when I'm actually performing it, especially if I'm performing with a live band. More than likely, we're going to rewind the rhythm. Then we're going to rewind it, start it over. I might say just drum and bass right here, it just is a whole different vibe. And so that's what I like about performing, because you never know what's going to happen. Like I might go out in the audience, or I might, who knows? But yes, it's different from practicing to whether you practicing with the at a practice with the band, or you just at home practicing. But when you get like out on stage, like I get nervous every time. Like before I get on stage, I have to pee. Like it's like
before we shoot, I have to go.
Yeah, I cannot. I can go. Like if I get to the venue, and I'm not drinking or doing anything, right? I can go right when I get there. And so then right before I have to get on stage, I have to go again. It's like I haven't even drank anything. So yeah, I get super nervous, and
that mean you care.
Yeah, I get super nervous every single time. Like even my last performance, my daughter took a picture while I was just on the side of the stage, like kneeling down, just eyes closed. I was so nervous, like my stomach was bubbling and everything. But yeah, so for me, it's always different.
You know what's crazy? And so it's like, it's funny you said that. So like I'm nervous leading up to the days leading up to a show. Show day,
right?
It's because at that point it's like, okay, it's here.
Right.
So either you gonna, what they say, you either gonna shit or get off the pot. Like,
and I'm nervous for that very reason.
Right.
Oh, it's here.
My stuff is like leading up to it. Like, oh shoot, you got a show on. You got 5 more days to rehearse, nigga. Like, but when that day happens, it's like, okay, what you gonna do? As far as like the standing in front of the mirror thing, for me, it's like, people don't really handle money nowadays a lot. But like back in the day, the way you learn what a counterfeit was. You never handled a counterfeit dollar. Mm-hmm. They would have the people handling real money. and every once in a while they'll slip a counterfeit in.
Mm-hmm.
And you were so used to handling the real money that when you felt the counterfeit, you knew that ain't real.
Right.
So like when I'm rehearsing in front of a mirror, I know what I'm supposed to look like.
Yeah.
So it don't matter if it's one person, 100 people, 1,000 people in the crowd. And Crown can attest to this because we've done shows where we've had thousands of people in the crowd. I know what I'm supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care if it's 1 or 1,000. I know the same. I know what I should look like.
Right, right.
So I don't care what you think you see. Like I know what I see because it's locked in.
That makes sense.
So like the purpose for me doing that is like I know the way I'm supposed to look and how I feel. So even if it's like, oh, if it's some more people, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's up. But for me, a lot of times I think I would perform harder, for like and you know the shows we did, like at the most we might have had maybe 200 people there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe at the most 200,
Yeah.
300 people. But I performed harder for those 200 or 300 than when I had thousands of people in the crowd because it's like it's a more intimate. So y'all finna get, their work.
So
That's
my question is, so for you, what's the high? Like, what is the high like of being on stage? Like, is it a high? Like to me, like people use it as like a drug or something like that, to where it's like let's say for the rest of your life, be like you can't perform no more.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be okay with that, or you be like, or would you feel a certain type of way? That's what I'm saying.
No, I couldn't. I have to.
Be like, you
like
can't
my
perform.
my high doesn't come until after. For me, like when I perform on stage, my performance always came from a place of healing. You know what I mean? So for me, it's me, giving myself to the crowd, sharing my story, connecting through music, telling my story, healing myself. And then once it's over is when I feel the high. It's really interesting. And then like I'm up for the rest of the night. I usually can't go to sleep. And I'm usually on that high after the performance has ended for like another 2 or 3 days. So no, if I couldn't perform, I think I would die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you said that she touched on. So you said your place comes from a place of healing.
Mm-hmm.
And like we know that you're an activist. Like, how did you get into being an advocate and an activist? Like what caused that? Because I know that's a big part of not just your music, but also when you're not being a mom and when you're not working, like that's a big part of your life. And you had me come and speak some years ago.
That's right.
At a panel that you had a panel discussion.
Mm-hmm.
What got you into that?
So I was sexually abused several times between the age of 9 and 15. And it definitely had a very negative impact on my life, which is another reason why I wouldn't change having my children, because they helped keep me centered and help keep me sane and from going off the rails. You know what I mean? Because if it wasn't for them, then there's no telling what all I would have gotten into, because I had nothing. I didn't have anything I wouldn't have had anything to live for. And I had them. So I was just trying all kinds of stuff. I mean, from lifestyles to trying to get help by going to counseling, to different religions, to jumping out of one relationship into another, like looking for love in several different places. So it wasn't until I moved here, and it was kind of like you had mentioned before about kind of like when you're sitting alone and you only have yourself. It even reminds me of the pandemic. When we couldn't go anywhere, that's when it's like you really, that's when you really are going to you're going to have to face everything, because you're sitting still,
Right.
And so for me, like when I first moved here, I chose to move to Memphis because I'm like, I need to get away. I need to start over, and I need to go somewhere where no one knows me. Like where I don't know anybody and nobody knows me. And I only have my children. And also at that time, my children were spending every summer with my parents. So I moved here in May of 2006, and it was just me because my children were with my mom and dad. So that's when I started getting into spoken word. I started hitting up the spoken word spots, and that's when I started writing my own poetry too. And so that's where I started releasing my pain. Like I had been trying to go to counseling and, different therapies and medicines and, like I said, religions, and I couldn't find my peace. I couldn't find my healing anywhere.
Right.
And so I started putting my pain, writing about my pain, using the pen to express my pain, and putting it on paper. And then I started to perform it. So the very first time that I performed a piece where I talked about how I had been sexually abused, I was really surprised by the number of men and women that came up to me after I got through performing, saying it had happened to them. And I don't know, like for some reason in my mind, I don't want to say that I thought that I was the only person that had ever happened to.
Right.
I mean, if we're familiar with our story, as far as being brought over here from Africa, we
Right,
know
right.
the hells that our ancestors went through. So we know that, being sexually abused and raped was a part of that. But I guess I just wasn't expecting the reaction that I got. So then I started researching, and when I found out how many of our children are being sexually abused, and that our children have a greater chance of being sexually abused than their natural chance of being born left-handed, that's a pandemic in itself before we even heard of anything called COVID. And it's something that no one talks about. No one likes to talk about it. And so I am an advocate for children because, number one, like, if we don't protect them, like, that's like the ultimate treason, right? I mean, we always say the children are the future,
Yeah.
So like our children and our elders are the most vulnerable members of our society, and they deserve to be protected. And so that's when I started focusing on children, because it's like children grow up to be these broken adults.
Right.
And children need to know that they're heard, they're protected, and that they deserve to be children instead of being abused. And so you have to start at the root, right? And so the root is are the children. So that's what really drove me, because I was surprised at the number of adults. And then as I got into the work, then I'm surprised by the number of children. Like, even though I've been doing this for all these years now, it's still children every week, every day that this is still happening to, that I'm still having to help or try to help their parents. And it's just, it's an awful part of our society, that light needs to be shed on and action needs to be taken.
So, did you find it hard? Because you said like from 9 to 15, and I remember, I want to say we had the conversation because I had a piece I did where I kind of alluded to it, and we kind of talked after that, and that was kind of how we started having that conversation. But like for me, mine was between when I was 4 and when I was 6, and so like I remember for me, the initial thing is like when I said something, if an older person is saying, "Oh, it wasn't me," you know how we grew up. If an adult or somebody older says you didn't do something or you did something, you're like, "Don't you lie on no adult," don't you lie on no older person.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, so like I just internalized it because like when I was 4, it was 2 sisters, and so it's like my word versus 2 of them. So I told, but it's like it's 2 people saying they didn't do anything. So it's like, okay, well, y'all ain't listening to me. So like, in my 4-year-old mind, I came up with ways of coping and trying to hide and, trying to solve it myself. And when I went through it again at 6, which this time it was a grown woman, I didn't even say anything because like when I was 4, y'all didn't believe me. Y'all didn't listen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to figure out a way to get over it myself. Like, so it's a 2-part question. Number one, did you have that experience? Like did you say anything or was it not received if you did? And then also, do you find it like now when you talk to kids, like have they had that similar experience where they don't say anything, or if they said something, nobody listen?
Yeah, so it's all of that. Like, that's why education is key. So it's not only am I focused on helping children that have survived such an atrocity, but I'm also focused on the children and the families that have not experienced it, because I always say that the best education is prevention, right? So And it's the small things that we do as parents that we don't realize that we are potentially setting our children up to be victimized. Like, for example, think of how when we were little, if we would go to a family event, you might not have wanted to hug uncle whoever or aunt whoever, but what your folks, you better get over there and hug that person, you know?
Right.
So like if your own parent is forcing you to do something with your body that you don't want to do, then, so we have to as parents, we don't own our children. You know what I'm saying? Like they were gifts to us, right?
Preach.
And so we're supposed to honor that, respect that, cultivate it, And so my son, when he was growing up, if he wanted to, even now, if he doesn't want a hug, you don't have to hug me. And I ask him, can I have a hug? You know what I mean? I ask his permission before I touch his body. He's at the age now, he's 7, where he doesn't want to get undressed in front of me and say, my boy, I seen bigger, or boy, you ain't got nothing that I ain't seen already. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me know when I can come back in. You see what I mean?
Right.
So we have to like educate and empower our children.
Right.
So for me, and this is another thing too, like when we talk to our children, we have to be careful about the questions we ask, right? Like we can't say, did somebody hurt you? Because it might not have hurt.
Right.
Because we have, we have our private parts that feel good when they're stimulated. That's the same thing for children.
Right.
It might have felt good to them, which will also lend itself to their confusion and the contradiction. Right. So that was the case for me. Like when I first was sexually abused at 9.
So what would you say though in that instance? Like
Well,
instead of like what you like, did it hurt or something? Like
you just,
what would be the alternate?
So one of the primary things you can teach your children is the bathing suit rule. So no one should be touching you where your bathing suit covers. And so that's where you get into good touch, bad touch, and then you're able to ask your child, has someone touched you in a bad place, or has someone touched you where your bathing suit covers, and it's not so much of what did it hurt, but it's have you been touched, and so like for me, that was part of my confusion because it didn't hurt, and then of course he threatened to kill my parents. So that was, that was another thing. And that's something else that I teach, children, like they're going to say all of these things, you know what I mean? And so you have to just keep encouraging them to tell someone or just to know all of the tricks. Even grooming, like we are, as parents, we're all about stranger danger. And that is true. But 90% of children know the person who sexually abused them. Right. So it's not the stranger. It's not the person that's grabbing them off the street, even though those are the cases that always get publicized and put on TV and Amber Alerts and all of that stuff. It's the principal, it's the teacher that's keeping you after school, it's your choir director, it's your basketball coach, it's the babysitter that your mom and dad hired to watch over you while they went out on a date. It's the cousin when all the family comes over during the holiday and y'all are the children are upstairs and the parents are downstairs or the grown folks are downstairs and y'all don't come down here, hey, who's checking on the children? You know what I mean? So it's those types of situations where it breeds opportunity. And that's the key thing about preventing child sexual abuse is education and then removing those opportunities. So yeah, for me, when I did finally tell, I wasn't believed. And so and it caused some friction between me and my father. And so it's just a combination of all of that. I was confused. Like even the person that sexually abused me, he like afterward he wouldn't look at me, and so then I'm thinking something's wrong with me. So then I'm trying to make him like me again. It's like a whole mind, like your mind is
go
as
through
a child.
Stockholm syndrome type situation where you
and
start
so it's
feeling
just
sorry
like
for the person who hurt you.
Exactly. So you thinking that you did something wrong, you know what I mean? And so it's very confusing. So it's for me it was a combination of all of that, being scared that he would kill my parents, then telling and not being believed, being confused, like, well, maybe I did something wrong, so all of those
you
factors.
said that you, I think you mentioned, you said you tried to go to counseling
Yeah.
for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you said, but that wasn't
Yeah,
successful.
it wasn't successful for me because
Okay.
at the time when I was seeking counseling, this is me, teens, early 20s, mom of two children on public assistance. So I didn't have like private insurance where I could get, the best care. So I'm using resources that are free. And then these free resources are people that don't look like me or men. And then every time I would go, I'm being shuffled. Now I got a whole nother person that I'm talking to who either is a man or doesn't look like me, who doesn't really understand my perspective from my frame of reference. We don't share the same cultural norms. So you don't really even understand me as a person before we even get into my issues. And then I show up to an appointment as somebody brand new because, this caseworker has been moved or shifted, your case has been given to someone else. And it's like, so now I'm being re-traumatized all over again because I have to start all over.
Yeah.
And so after a while, it's just like, forget this. And then they all want to put you on medicine.
Yeah.
And, I feel like medicine is treating the symptoms, but I want to address the issue because I don't want to be on medicine my whole life. So those were my struggles. And I just found for me that the arts is what healed me better than traditional. I don't knock traditional counseling at all.
Yeah.
But just like when a child is in school or when a teacher is teaching children, some children learn hands-on, some children learn just by reading, some learn just by hearing, so everyone has to know what's best for them and, walk in that lane accordingly.
You found your own space.
And so that's why, so every time I perform, like, even if I'm not performing and sharing my pain as far as, the child sexual abuse, it's still healing for me. Like literally one time I tell this story and sometimes people don't believe me, but it wasn't last May. I think it was because this was before the pandemic. So I always make me like this special tea and I sip on that before I perform. So one day had a performance and I was getting ready to walk out the door and I was making the tea, wasn't paying attention as I was pouring the water and poured the hot water all over my hand. So I'm like, my God. So I'm keeping my hand in ice, as I'm driving to the place. And it's that type of burn, where like it melts the ice and then the water turns hot too because your hand is radiating just that much heat. So I was miserable. It was at the Rail Garden. It was an outside performance. It was already hot outside. So I was miserable. So I kept my hand in the water, in the ice, right until it's time to go on stage. And I went on stage and I remember when the music started, my hand was throbbing so bad. So bad. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this performance. And then the performance was over and I realized, I was like, my hand doesn't hurt anymore. And it never started back hurting. So like music really does heal. And so it's healing for me, when I'm singing, when I'm connecting, like I get to, cause me typically I'm real chill, but when I'm on stage, even sometimes in practices, when we be in practice, they be like, hey, give us some feeling. And I remember either you or Am said, just wait till she get on stage. Like she chill right now. That's just because she's trying to get through the mechanics, make sure I can hit the notes. But on stage is something completely different. So on stage, I might, move my body, release the energy, stomp my feet, scream real loud to hit a note. It's all healing for me. So
I know Rag have said it a few times. I think on the show, we was talking like, some of the times when I was back in the apartment in the Meadows and stuff, we get to rap and get to talk, and you know what I'm saying. That's more so like what you were going through at the time. That was more so like therapy. When we was kind of chopping it up as men,
right.
You know what I'm saying, telling what's going on and doing stuff of that nature. And I think sometimes we can kind of belittle or decrease certain things. Like your thing is the arts. You know what I'm saying. For somebody else, it might be, you know what I'm saying, going over your homeboy's house, watching Red Zone football.
Yeah.
Kicking it.
No, because you sure helped me, like, nigga.
hanging out and stuff like that.
Like, man, hurt.
Yeah.
Being over his house watching football every Sunday.
You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we can judge, so if it's not what you're doing, what you know what I'm saying, it can look like somebody is being unproductive or is not, you know what I'm saying, to what their degree is of what it should be as far as healing. But that can be, I'm not talking about medicating as far as drinking liquor and, you know what I'm saying, that can, you know what I'm saying, that can be abuse. But as far as like having a hobby, you know what I'm saying, the arts are, you know what I'm saying, art, like me going to the tennis court or going to run a few miles, me doing the kickboxing. That's therapy for me.
Hashtag,
you know what I'm saying?
Hashtag
man.
He put that every morning. He'd be like, "At kickboxing, hashtag."
I go to and I hashtag too, like sweat therapy. That's exactly what I call it, because it's, you know what I'm saying, like you getting it in, you lifting weights, you punching
you're
the bag,
releasing, right? So
and that's important for me. Like it'd be like, oh, why you gotta
I've
go?
said this before. I got sick of it because, and I don't know if you went through this. I got sick of somebody asking me how I'm feeling. Like I'm depressed. That's how the fuck I'm feeling. I told you that 2 weeks ago, and I got to tell you that again. Like, help me not be depressed. You keep asking me how I'm feeling. I don't want to take, because like you said, this medication, and like I've kind of alluded to this, but like when I was going through my situation, like I got hooked on Oxycontin, Percocet, Tylenol 3, alprazolam, which everybody knows is Xanax. Like I was on all of that, and it had me a zombie. So like people be like, no, this is nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't give me no, like I get a toothache, the most I'm gonna take is I'm gonna leave. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. Cause I know you keep popping them pills. Like I know, like before everybody was on all this fentanyl, like I was back on that in '08.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Like that didn't do anything for me. But like you asking me how I'm feeling, and you know when you go through something traumatic like that, like, and to JB's point, like some of my best therapy came, we sitting there in front of his apartment, and I don't feel that way no more.
Yeah.
So, or like when you on stage, I don't be like when I'm on stage, I don't feel that way no more. So like, I don't think any of us are bashing like therapy or anything like that.
No, not at all.
But I've always been one, because we're gonna have a therapist on.
Yeah.
If that is what works for you, do that.
Yeah.
If sport is what works, do that. If the arts,
exactly,
playing the video game, walking in the park, whatever everybody's therapy is not the same.
I just don't like when people try to normalize it or be like, okay, therapy is where you need to go, period, and just leave it at that. And don't have any
like
other,
that's the end all be all.
Right, and don't have any other outside options, or somebody, they might be already doing what it is to help them through that, but they don't look at it as that because the society is telling you you need to go do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was good. Yeah, that was great.
So what, before we go, like any other questions that could have got a woman's perspective that we have talked about? Now, because we have the queen.
We do, man.
You know what I'm saying? The queen of Zamunda, the queen of Wakanda, the queen of reggae, Kween Jasira.
It's a couple, like some of the stuff that we've mentioned in the last jump we did with Todd. Some of those things, like I don't have it in front of me.
So have you ever felt like when you're with your dude? Because one of the things we said is like when we're together, if I'm silent, it doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying my time with you. Like I'm glad you're here. Have you ever felt like when you was with a guy or with your ex-husband or with your current relationship, like if he was silent, did you feel like he wasn't enjoying being around you? Or
no, I think that like for me, it's so many other cues, right? Like if you're silent but you're in your phone the whole time, like, okay, yeah, you're not really into me, you know what I mean? But if you're silent but we boot up on the couch, you know, and just because sometimes we'll read a book, like he'll have his own book, I'll have my book, or we're watching something on TV, you know. I don't think that words are always necessary. I think that there definitely be other indicators if somebody's is not happy at all. So no, I don't think so. I can't see.
What's a good book you're reading right now?
Oh, I'm reading the Love Languages book.
Bruh. Oh, snap. You brought that up.
I'm reading that book.
Wifey gonna be looking at this and be like, I told you.
I'm reading the 4 Agreements as well. I'm reading that book, the 4 Agreements.
4 Agreements. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a couple
So-
that I'm reading right now, and a self-care book.
With the love languages book, because we've had this conversation before. This is my thought that women have all 5. I'm dead at, because like you find a woman that says like I don't like, oh, my love languages are gifts and acts of service, but like if you're not touching her, that's a like, so just give her gifts and do stuff for her, but you don't give her quality time, you don't touch her, and what's the 5th one? I'm missing one.
So acts of
Words of
service.
affirmation.
Yeah, affirmation.
So if you're
yeah.
not giving her words of affirmation, you're not touching her, and you're not giving her quality time, but you're giving her stuff and you're doing stuff for her, she gonna be, why don't you touch? You're not affectionate. Do you not love me? Or we don't never spend time together, but I just bought you this car though. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I just
I'm
but
not a
you
quality.
need-
I'm not a quality time person. I'm a it's cool, but why are you looking at me like that?
Cause
though?
you just said y'all might be booed up on the couch. That's quality time.
Yeah, but that's not something that I have to have like all the time. Like that's not my primary language. You see what I mean? I think all
never
of them.
booed up on the couch.
But see, I don't take the love languages book to mean like, oh, this is your love language and you don't want any of the others. It's just more so what more so speaks to you.
What's more
Right.
prominent?
Yeah,
Which
what's
one
more prominent for you?
When
Like for
I-
me, and then too with the love languages book, what I'll be honest, what confuses me is what I like my love languages as far as what I need from a partner, but also what I express to my partner is two different. Like it's two different things. Like the way I love and the love that I want to receive, it's different languages. You know what I mean? Like it's really crazy. Like how I express love is physical touch and gifts. That's how I primarily give love. But for me, what I want,
Words of affirmation.
acts of service, and I also like physical touch. But I don't need I don't need the after words of affirmation. That's gonna come from y'all anyway. Like if we get ready to go out and I come out looking good, you can be like, oh
but no, like words of affirmation. It's not just that though. Like you know what I'm saying. Like sometimes like words.
But that's
I
just
look at words of
natural, right?
affirmation
Like if your
Yeah.
girl, if she, you know, if she looking good, you gonna tell her. If she killed that performance, like if she a performance, she got to say, you gonna be like, you did that. You know, I just think like that comes naturally when you're in a relationship and you're building. Like you want to see your partner do good. So I don't necessarily need it because I do get it, but I do need the physical touch and I do need acts of service because it's like I just grew up seeing my dad do that for my mom. You know what I mean? Like he was an acts of service person and a physical touch person. So I think that's probably where I get it from.
Like
Man.
JB, did you say what would you say you have? Do you have a love language?
Yeah.
Sound like physical touch from what you described.
JB said he no. I'm just
From what you
I'm not gonna
described
speak for JB.
from what you described at TSU, that's what it sounded like.
Hey,
I'm not gonna speak for
I
Mr.
had
Brown.
a different, you know what I'm saying, different vibe going.
Crown, you got a love language.
But
Crown said don't put him on the spot. Crown said he need that.
Gifts.
Wallow.
Gifts.
but honestly, for me, I look is acts of service.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I can see why that would be important to a man because you
You know what
have,
I mean?
you know, like women who expect y'all to do everything, but y'all like to be pampered and like feel like you want it and you appreciate it too, you know?
show me, like, you can show me that you love me. Like, telling me is cool, but then showing me with acts of service to me has always been like, you know what I mean? Like that's big for me. Like it don't have to be. It's an unspoken language. It don't have to be like that. But it's by what you do and how you do certain things. Look at this dude shaking
I just
his
need
head,
for her to
man.
be there, JB.
You need
No,
who
I'm
to
just saying
beware.
if you
need who to
saying
beware.
you trust me to drive the car, right?
Washing my clothes.
Don't like if you're trusting me to drive the car. When it's time to drive the car, like don't be where we gonna hold up, where we going? Like you said you trusted me to drive the car.
What's that got to do with love languages?
No. What I'm
Hey.
saying is, I need for a woman to be there. I need to know that you're there. I need to know that you got me.
That's a whole nother
You know
episode.
what I'm saying?
right
Like,
there.
be my peace.
Yeah, you're
Like if I work a 15-hour day, like I just need you to be my peace. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
So,
I don't
so what's
need
your
the-
love languages then?
He don't know.
I just need you to be there. No, I know mine. I need you to be
Oh, what's
there.
yours? What's
What
yours?
are yours?
Be there.
That's not a love
Yes,
language.
it is.
Oh,
Yes, it is.
I don't think that's
Be
Is that
present.
physical touch?
Be if that's what I need
Be
at
there.
that moment.
Okay. got you.
You see what I'm saying? Like if I come home and ain't no food, like you be like, oh, you ain't eating. Like okay, so then that's an act of service.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and do that.
I need the big piece of chicken.
Right, exactly. No, check this out.
I ain't got the big piece of chicken.
Check this out. Now, it was a big day in my house with my dad. Let me get the big piece of chicken.
Right,
but prior to him letting me get the big piece of chicken, I knew my brothers couldn't eat as much as me. My dad was going to get the big piece of chicken. So that meant I got to get 2 or 3 pieces of chicken. So I didn't care about the big piece because I knew I was going to get a thigh, a wing, and a drumstick. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was straight. I ain't had to get the breast, and I'm a breast man. But I got 3 pieces of chicken.
Gotta love the breast.
Ting. But no, so I'm saying like I'm an affectionate guy, but I don't like to always have to be the aggressor because I don't want to feel like a creep.
That's what I was saying.
You know
like me,
what I'm saying?
y'all need
So
to feel
like
wanted.
it's good
too.
to know sometimes when your woman come up because then that lets me know it's like, oh, cool.
Want her to attack you
because once
Exactly.
I get
you
in
always
the game,
be the one.
once I get in autopilot, it's showtime. We good.
Hey.
But sometimes you don't like to always because we don't always know.
But you don't want her to hem you up on the wall or nothing like that.
She can hit me up on the wall because once I get in the game, it's over with.
Huh?
Don't get mad with look. A giant still a giant when a giant sleep. When you wake that giant up.
What's the memes where they said with the
where
the girl be behind the girl be behind the dude holding, you know what I'm saying?
Don't be a menace.
Yeah.
When they was in the mail truck and don't be a menace, and then like when she like woke up and she turned into like a monster.
Right. Yeah.
Like, but no, like sometimes we like to be when you kiss on us
the little spoon
or you
sometimes.
touch on us. I don't want to be the little spoon.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying.
Scoop you
We
up.
like, yeah, no, I'm straight. But I like
around
to.
me.
Yeah.
I like
Y'all
when you
like,
initiate it. You know what I'm saying? Because then now
That's
it's
what
like,
I was
okay,
saying.
cool.
Y'all want to feel wanted
I know
sometimes.
I'm in the game.
Yeah.
But like how you come home from work sometimes. If you know I hadn't eaten,
Right.
go on whip something up. Because now you know me, I cook.
Right.
Like I don't mind cooking.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's good if you know I hadn't eaten, whip something up, or say, hey, you know what? I'm finna get something from here. What you want? Bid. Oh, okay. Well, get this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That when I say be there, what I mean is that like I'm not a complicated dude.
Now before, remember we were talking this before. Like we don't like when the females be like, they want us to read their minds.
Right.
Now you are upfront with that. Be like, look, this is hey
right.
babe, like
but
I'm
no,
hungry, I'm coming home,
I've had conversations with women where I've said like, we not talking about something sexual or physical, but I say like, hey, I like to be, if you're in the mood, don't wait for me to do something. If you're in the mood, like come kiss me on the cheek or rub me on the back of my neck or something.
Right.
So now if I just go to sleep one day, don't get mad and be like, you acting funny. And like you're here too. All you had to do was come kiss me on the cheek or touch me on my chest a certain way, and I know immediately what that means.
The starter kit.
Exactly right. You know them 3 moves y'all got.
The starter kit.
You know what the 3 moves are when you're in the bed, y'all either
toot it up.
See, she know. That's one of the moves. You thought I was making it up. That's one of the moves, right? That's all I'm saying. Like just be there. But like when it comes to like the decision making and stuff like that, like if you say you don't know what to do. And you're looking to me, and I say, okay, we're going to do A, B, C. When it comes time, you be like, nah, I'm straight. Well, why did you say,
right?
And that kind of lets me know, like, well, dang, like, if you're looking to me, so is that going to be an indication? Because for me, and I've said this to you before, when I take that vow, that means for better or for worse.
Yeah.
The worst means when we're not getting along. The worst means when you ain't giving me none. The worst means when I ain't happy. The worst means when you getting on my nerves. The worst means when I see this other chick at work and she look better in them jeans than you do, but like I got to come back home when you got drawers on your head. The worst. You know what I'm saying? For richer or for poor.
You heard that, Rick. You heard that.
When I got to work 2 or 3 jobs. You know what I'm saying? When I got to work 2 or 3 jobs, like that's for poor. Because if I'm rich or wealthy, I ain't got to work 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
You see, in sickness and in health, sometimes the sickness can be a mental sickness.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But like
that's gonna be the majority of it.
So I'm not finna jump into it because when I do it, I'm not finna jump into it because like I've said this on the show, I'll cheat with no conscience. I would and sleep great at night. And ask the Lord to forgive me on Friday and take communion on Sunday.
You gotta do the disclaimer.
If I'm just saying, if you put me in a position, because you said this before.
Not after this vow you talking about.
Right, but check this out. Let's say you and your dude together, right? And he cooks. You come home and he decide for a week he just ain't gonna cook. At some point, what you gonna do? Either you're gonna cook or you gonna stop and get something before you go home? Now, if I'm sleeping next to you every night and you tooting it up on me, but I can't touch you, as Juvenile would say, he said in the world famous internationally known song "Back That Ass Up," titty sitting nice, yeah, I want to bite you.
Bite you.
If they are, and I can't bite though, and I gotta come home and look at that.
You saying you gonna get a bite?
No, what I'm saying is, so I gotta look
stop
at
on
that every night
before he go home,
and I can't do nothing. And you're saying that's a cool thing? Like I'm just supposed to deal with that? Like I signed up for the next 40 or 50 years to not get none?
Well, maybe that night.
You see what I'm saying? Like
not the 40 years.
Saying, but I'm straight
though. Big.
I'm
big. You know what I'm saying?
I'm too old to start playing.
Not
with myself.
Not for 40 years. Well, maybe that night though.
I'm too old to start playing with myself. We talked about this season 1, the porn episode. We talked about that. I'm too old to start playing with myself.
Y'all had a porn episode?
His idea, but I was on there. I co-signed it.
It was my idea. Actually, we had my homeboy on
that was on Ready to Love.
You watched Ready to Love?
No.
That show?
Oh yeah, he was on the show Ready to Love.
He was on the show Ready to Love. He was on there.
Shout out Cornelius Bryant.
He actually on there here twice. He was on the second season too. We had a nice little episode with him. But we can talk about this out. I don't want these cameras to go out on you.
Oh, yeah,
we having too much fun.
We definitely.
Yeah.
I gotta come back.
Yeah, you
gotta come back.
Yeah,
she gotta become a friend of the show.
I gotta come
She
back.
gonna be a friend of the show. I see that out because when we want a woman's perspective, we gonna go to the queen.
Change?
Yeah, because
but
check this out. No, because so
we gonna go to the queen.
He did that. So like, if y'all know anything about nonverbal communication, like what he did was that was actually a shot. And all of y'all people that say, "Oh, we want to be on the podcast," and we ask you, it's like, well, it's just. I just really got to look at the things that I'm doing, and I got some. No. That's my girl voice. I do a bad job of impersonating a girl. I don't speak girl.
Yeah.
Well, I'd
like
be happy to
you were
come
the
back.
first person. So shout out to Kween Jasira.
Yes.
Who was like, let us know, and like we was having to try to coordinate stuff, but you was like, okay, well, my stuff changed week to week, so just let me know in advance so I can coordinate. But like, she was ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this was a very dope episode.
I look forward to coming back. I had fun.
Very dope.
Yeah.
Very dope.
So do you have any projects coming out?
Yes. So I'm currently working on a music project called In My Element. So it's actually going to be like just a mixture, spoken word, reggae. I just, it's like indicative of my element. It's so many different things, So I'm working on that, trying to do some photo shoots. Got some more to do. So yeah, look for that. That's probably gonna come out early next year.
Okay. You need a feature? I got you.
That's why I was asking. Had you been performing?
She said you gotta keep your clothes on. But y'all, until next time.
Baby, hold on. Before you do that, so like, check this out. No. Look. So Martell retweeted something that they reposted something that I posted.
Really?
The Martell cognac. They was like, "What's your favorite cocktail?" So I had posted on their page and they reposted it. So shout out to Martell because I said that's one of my go-tos when I'm on the
screenshot and send it to me. I put it down there.
I said I put when I'm on the ThePrezEx podcast. It's one of my go-to cocktails.
All right.
So they reposted it. So shout out to Martell.
Shout out.
You know what I'm saying? Martell USA on IG.
Yeah, be a real sponsor.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, mess with us.
Man, for real.
That's right. Message.
Yeah. We gotta give Crown Vic some money. Because till next time, continue with that executive mindset.
And most definitely keep it presidential.
Salute.
Reproduction.